here I am, sitting in Lowe's parking lot. Not sure if you guys watched the video before this, but there's a video before this, and I explained about how I was coming to Lowe's. And now here I am, sitting here because I just finished with Lowe's. Had to come get a few things, try to keep it as cheap as possible, because I've not made the money. And even though I'm going to be making a little bit of money tomorrow, still didn't want to obviously spend all of the money that I have / that I'm going to make. But so I went yesterday, I went yesterday to a job agency, because there was a job that I was trying to get, and that it just happened to be through them. So I had to fill out all this bullshit and literally sit through so much shit. Like, I will make a separate video about this topic in the future, but I am not a fan of job agencies for many reasons, and the process that they put me through yesterday was complete and utter bullshit, and now is even more reason why I'm not a fan of job agencies. Don't get me wrong, if you're desperate, I'm not even saying desperate, if you really need a job, job agencies are a good way of getting in contact with employers and stuff, but the way they go about things, to some people it doesn't matter to them, so they're okay with the way they do things, and that's fine. But in my world, I don't particularly care for their techniques and their standards for things, so I'm really not a fan of them. But to try to get this one job, I went through them. They were trying to get me to go to all these other job interviews, which is fine. I understand that, like, that's the point of a job agency, is to try to get you as many job interviews to get a job as possible. But I was really hoping this carpentry job would come through before I would have any form of work I would need to have to do with their company or anything like that. So today at like 4 o'clock, I got a call from the job agency saying that there was an employer that really liked my skill set that I had, and that it had a lot to do with running the same kind of machines that I ran at my old factory job, and that they start at $16 an hour, which is awesome. I totally would have been into it just for the $16 an hour, but I was going to meet with them on Monday, which I'm still technically planning on going to that interview, unless something changes with this weekend, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But instead, as soon as I got off the phone with her about this job interview I had, it wasn't even like 30 minutes later, and the guy who owns the cabinetry shop that I went and applied for the carpentry position called me to tell me that his lead carpenter was having some family issues, and that he wasn't going to be available to work tomorrow. And he was like, I apologize, I understand how super short notice this is, but I was wondering if you possibly wanted to do like a I already sat down with him and had an interview, but this would be like a working interview. He's gonna like actually work with me. I'm gonna help him put in cabinets in this house, and it'll be kind of like the ability for him to see what I'm like and what I'm good at and stuff like that, to then possibly give me the job or not, for sure. So at least it's cool enough where tomorrow I'll be paid under the table for that first job, just to be tested, so that way I don't have to join the company just to inevitably then not work for them. But this guy's really cool, really friendly. Me and him get along a lot, both laugh a lot at each other, with each other and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that this goes as good as it seems like it's going, or that it could go, and that this actually flourishes into me actually getting the full-time carpenter's position. But obviously then he called and asked me if I could do that. So then I called that agency back just to simply tell them, like, look, I am going to go do this. We left it so the interview was still scheduled for Monday and that nothing actually was changed. I just figured on my end I should be nice enough to at least call and talk to the woman and explain to her that there is a possibility that I might not be going through the agency because I might actually already have gotten myself a job with this carpentry place, which obviously, like I explained in other videos, I have a very large background in carpentry. I have actually never done like installing cabinets, but yeah, I've done a lot of just other carpentry related tasks. So like building a house and all the stuff you have to do for building a house, and I was an electrician for a while, and I just have little bits of experience in this large field of carpentry, house building, woodworking, stuff like that. So I'd much prefer to have that job, being as it's a job that I'm actually somewhat good with. I trust my abilities with a lot more than I do like factory work and stuff. Even though I did work in factory for 8 years, I'd rather be doing carpentry work than working in a factory. Not that there's anything wrong with factory work. You know, I understand many people out there do it, especially in Ohio. There's a lot of fucking factories out there in this world, and it's really easy to get a factory job, which is fine, but I'm just trying not to get a factory job if I can. Unfortunately, I'll only be being paid $12 an hour at the carpentry place compared to the $16 an hour for working in a factory. But at the same time, for being able to do something that I actually enjoy to do, I'm willing to make the $12 an hour, because even though I'm only making $12 an hour, I'm actually still making more money than I have at most of my other jobs at $12 an hour. So, I asked him what stuff I needed to bring with me. It's all the way in Medina, which is like, it's probably going to be about 25 minutes or 30 minutes for me to get there from my house in the morning. So, expect an early morning recorded vlog tomorrow. Might even do one on the way home, just so that way I can explain the full experience for everybody, how it was, what it was like, stuff like that. But he told me just to bring, you know, my tool belt and basic hand tools that you would have for carpentry in your belt, you know. Well, of course, you know, since the last time that Matt Freeman actually had his tool belt out and actually had tools to work with was years ago, and I've used my tools a lot at home, but I've like obviously taken them out of the belt and used them elsewhere in other places. I've lost every single thing I've owned. So the only two things I found were my tape measure and my tool belt. And so I had to then run to Lowe's here tonight to go just in there and go buy some shit, so that way I had a little bit more stuff on me for tomorrow. And then, like I said, but being as obviously I don't have a real job at this point, I don't want to spend too much money on tools when realistically this could not even work out, and I could not even end up getting this carpentry job. So instead I went with the cheapest of the cheap, which for most of the stuff is fine, but then the hammer, I could have gone with like a $6 hammer that would have been super fucking cheaply made, but being as I figured of all these things that I got, the hammer is going to be something that I can use on my own stuff at home, because I've lost like every hammer I've owned, besides like my forging hammers, and obviously they're too big and bulky to be using on nails and stuff. But I went with the cheap stuff. I got this tiny crowbar. It's like the tiniest crowbar I've ever actually seen. I'm not even sure how well it's gonna pull nails because it's that tiny. This thing was $6, okay? So that's cheap. I got this screwdriver that, you know, it's like a fancy one, and it's got, you know, it's got a whole bunch of different heads inside the actual handle itself, which when you're having a tool belt, this is very helpful, because then instead of carrying 18 different screwdrivers on you, you just have one that has a whole bunch of different heads that you can switch to in the process. This guy was $7.99. I honest to God only wanted this. I'm pretty sure that I might be able to find my pencil sharpener, but I have no idea really. And I'm pretty sure I have pencils somewhere, but I also have no idea really where those are at. So I ended up buying this. This was $4.30 which I felt like was a little expensive, but being as it comes with 6 pencils and a pencil sharpener, I bit my lip and bought it anyways. So obviously I'm only going to need to take 1 or 2 pencils with me. I'll have 4 others to stay at home, and then take the pencil sharpener with me. If you're a carpenter or ever did any work, you can understand that you can simply use a knife to sharpen a pencil, but the knife I'm taking isn't really a knife that is like a box cutter knife. It doesn't have the replaceable blades. It's like a real knife that I carry on me every day anyways. So I don't want to damage the blade too much, so I don't want to cut into a pencil if I don't have to. So I figured, screw it, might as well get the pencil sharpener and a couple extra pencils. This guy made me laugh. Now obviously this is a 24-inch level, and this isn't like obviously something that you would quote unquote fit in a tool belt, but being as we're going to be we're going to be putting cabinets in tomorrow, and I'm sure the guy has a level, I figured it'd probably just be smart and better if I actually had my own level on me. This guy at 24 inches was only $7, and that's because it's made of some real cheap ass plastic. But the thing that made me laugh even more about this, if I were to have bought a 6-inch, so this is 24 inches, which if you don't know what 24 inches, that's 2 foot. This is 2 foot long, $7. If I bought a 6-inch, it would have been about this fucking big, right? If I bought a 6-inch level, it would have cost me $15. How does that work out? 24 inches, $7. 6 inches, $15. Like, I don't know. It's one of those weird things where apparently smaller costs more money, which makes no sense. So I end up obviously just going with the 24-inch. Now this guy, this is where I spent a little extra money on. It's a Craftsman hammer. It's actually a pretty nice hammer. It's it's metal, 20 ounces. It's got the magnet on top, which if you didn't know, it's set up this way so you can put a nail in it and you can start it and then start hammering it. It's pretty clever setup. I've never actually owned one that had the magnet on it, but that's not the reason I bought it or that I spent a little extra money to get this one. The hammer that was $6 was just plastic handled with a metal top, and when you use a hammer all the time, you're going to break that hammer really quickly. This is a solid metal all the way through, with just a rubber grip on it. It's going to last 10 times longer than the cheap ones, or even a wooden one. I would have probably gone with a heavier hammer. This is only a 20 ounce, and I would have probably gone with a 24 or 26 ounce, because the heavier the hammer, the more powerful the swing and the collision with the nail is going to be. But being as I didn't want to spend the $40 it would have cost me for a heavier hammer, is the reason why I went with a 20 ounce instead of a 16. 16 standard for like a normal hammer. So if you aren't a crazy carpenter person but you have a hammer in your house, guaranteeingly it's a 16 ounce hammer. That's just standard hammers. This is 20, so this is 4 ounces more. It's not really that much heavier, but it still makes a difference. The other ones I was looking at were Cobalts, I think, and a few of them were American Pride hammers, and these are brands that I would have probably gone with more myself, because I've owned ones of them in my past, and they've always lasted for me and been great when I don't lose them. But the only reason that I went with a Craftsman hammer instead of the other ones is simply because at Lowe's, because they used to do this at Sears, but since Sears isn't a big popular brand anymore, Lowe's now owns the right for Craftsman, so every single Craftsman thing you buy is lifetime warranty, which it won't zoom in or it won't focus on it because it's dark and I'm in a dark truck and whatever. But yeah, it says full lifetime warranty, meaning like if for some random reason I were to ever possibly break this hammer, I could take it back to Lowe's and they'll give me a brand new one for free, because Craftsman guarantees their stuff for life. So these are the small items I paid for. That was $19 in all. By the time it was done, it come out to $51 with tax. It's not horrible, but being as tomorrow I'm probably only gonna make like 70 or 80 bucks, pretty much just means that most of my pay tomorrow paid for the new tools I just got, and then I'll get a couple extra bucks on top of that. But I'm really hoping this works out and that I can get a job with this carpentry place, because not only, like I said, I have experience and I enjoy it, then it won't mean that I wasted going out and buying these tools, because obviously I'll be able to use these tools for more than one project. Obviously, being as a person like me who does a lot of woodworking stuff at home anyways, I'm going to be able to find a use for them, but it'd be nice to have a job where they get used all the time in comparison to just me using them at home on a sparsely basis, because then I could have really cheaped out and went with the cheapest hammer, and everything else was the cheapest that you could get. But yeah, so that's tomorrow. I have to be there at 8 in the morning, and like I said, it takes like 25 minutes or so to get there. So I'll probably record somewhat of a vlog on the way there, and then record something on the way home, just kind of allowing you guys to know how it was, how it went, and if I found out anything, whether he thinks that this could be a foreseeable actual job placement thing for me, or if it's not going to work out, or what. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, you should subscribe to keep up with cool, entertaining content like this one. If you're already part of the channel, you can share the video and show other people how exciting it is to be a carpenter, out in the life of being a carpenter. I didn't know where else to go with that. But yeah, I'm gonna finally leave the parking lot of Lowe's, because I've just sat here idling for the last 17 minutes, which isn't a huge deal, but really, being as I have a 25-minute drive, and this truck kind of isn't like the most gas efficient vehicle in the world, I probably shouldn't spend all my gas just sitting here idling and then running out by the time I need to go use it to go to Medina. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Hopefully you guys have a good night, and I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye.